Are we ready?
Ready when you are.
Okay, we're ready. All right. Welcome to Health Farmers Age of the Plan podcast. We have here today our special guest, Kevin Lee. Woohoo! Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks, Lucy.
Thank you for joining us today.
I'm excited to be here. I've been looking forward to being on here.
I'm excited to have you on here as well. So for me to introduce you, what tone of voice would you like me to introduce you in today?
The happy voice of Lucy. That'll do.
The happy voice of Lucy. Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
Kevin Lee. If you Google his name, you'll find that the top search result is a drug lab killer. But don't worry, this is definitely not the Kevin Lee on our podcast today. The Kevin Lee I have here with us today has a strong passion for learning and living healthy. Now, at the age of 32, he is the co-founder of Brewristas, a boutique cafe restaurant in Sydney with a strong focus on community. Kevin is also the board member of StrangeLove Investments, a syndicate of 15 Australian millennials who provide early-stage technology companies with strategic capital. He is also the host of the Kevin Lee Social Podcast, learning from innovations and survival during a time of mass uncertainty. And what I love the most is that Kevin Lee is also the founder of Beyond Meditations. He helps people develop a new practice that expands their models of reality and awareness. This is achieved from shifting people's state by changing one's biochemistry through active breath work, mind, and emotions from guided practices. And he creates a space that allows everyone to safely and comfortably drop into deep states of meditative experience. Being healthy isn't just about eating. It also includes tapping into your inner intelligence through conscious practices. Let's welcome Kevin Lee! Woohoo!
Oh, wow, Lucy. That was the most dramatic, elaborate introduction I've ever had. That was an experience in itself. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Great effort.
I had to hold back, try not to laugh because I could hear you laughing.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you wanted a happy version, so there you go. All right. So are you ready for our first question from our flywheel?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's see what it feels like asking you today. All right. It wants to know, what can you do now that you couldn't do before you became like healthy conscious?
What couldn't I do now?
What couldn't you do before that you can do now?
Oh, okay. Before, I used to be quite unaware of my health, or what the idea of health was. To give everyone a bit of a backstory, I've been very fortunate. I didn't grow up with any illnesses or sicknesses. I've been quite healthy in that sense. I was always quite athletic. I played a lot of tennis. I did a lot of competitions in different areas of sports. I did martial arts for a long period of time. I competed at national and international comps. I did quite well in all of those. And then I moved into powerlifting. I started to, and powerlifting, for those not too sure, it's more about lifting, like measuring your 3 heaviest lifts, which is your bench press, your squat, and your deadlift, pretty much. And then, so you basically trained your whole body so you can maximize those 3 lifts, and then you kind of add them together, and that becomes your score, essentially. And then, because when I was doing martial arts, I was more lean, I was fast, but I didn't have much power or strength. So then I moved into powerlifting because I didn't want to get too big. I just wanted to become strong so that it would complement my martial arts. Eventually, though, I ended up stopping martial arts and then going full-time powerlifting because my coach in powerlifting said, "You're translating very well. Why don't you compete in powerlifting?" Being competitive in nature, I decided to go, okay, let's go compete in powerlifting. Ended up doing quite well in that. Took gold in GPC state comps and then went to compete at a national comp as well. But what I was realizing, and here we get to the health part, is that even though I was strong, I was physically fit, I was eating a lot of garbage. Because when you're powerlifting, you have to have, because you're using so much energy and strength, you have to eat so much, and especially being all natural, not taking any steroids, and being Asian in genes, like it's you just don't suddenly gain that mass so quickly. For me, at least, anyway. And so I was eating so much. I was eating 5-6 meals a day, massive heavy meals, and it required a lot of rest. And what I was realizing is, after eating so much, you get into these massive food comas because your body's just spending all this time just trying to digest. So after every meal, I'm like, oh.
And what were you eating?
Like
meat
anything
or
and everything. Like
okay.
From homemade rice meals to KFC to Red Rooster to like anything chicken breast or like
bulk up in protein.
Yeah, like a lot of protein based food.
Okay.
And I did try for a period like delivery meals, like muscle meals and stuff like that. But then you kind of eventually you want variety and you end up going something else. But it was pretty much like whenever the boys called for food, it's like, let's go eat. 11 o'clock, let's go eat. 12 o'clock, let's go eat. 6 o'clock, let's go eat. 7 o'clock here. So it's just any time of the day, anytime anybody was up for food, we would go out and we would have to feed, because that was the only way we're going to get all these calories in at the time anyway. So it wasn't the healthiest food eating concept. And then slowly the journey continues, and I start getting busy with some of my businesses. I started to slow down my powerlifting, and then I realized how tight I became. So even though I was strong, but I was so tight in my shoulders, in my core, in my glutes, and it was making me feel quite lethargic, and it didn't feel like the energy was flowing. And I had to go through, like I had to shift. I knew that I had to shift. I knew that my diet had to shift. I knew that my mindset had to shift, and my physical exercise had to shift. It's not sustainable for me to keep going that model, because eventually I was very fortunate. I didn't injure myself, but eventually if I'm not careful, I will injure myself. And then that's that pretty much. And so I through my mentors, I remember there was one point that we tried this drastic diet, and that kind of shifted everything quite a bit. And then I'll go full circle back to the question.
Okay.
It's all kind of related. And I went to a conference called A Fest, and it's by a company called Mind Valley, and one of the co-founders of Mind Valley his name is Vishen Lakhiani. He's a meditation expert, and he wrote the book The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, and he held this amazing conference over in Greece. And it's amazing because you have all these top health people in the biohacking field or just in the health industries, like Dr. Mark Hyman, Dave Asprey, the king of biohacking, and like JJ Virgin, all these people who've written these amazing books, authored courses, like the whole lot. And so they were there at these conferences teaching us during the day, and then at night we'd party, and we'd be in Mykonos, and like Mind Valley really knows how to throw a party. It was an amazing conference. And one of the diets that we were jumping on, like one of the things that was suggested to us was how we would like starting to shift our body to a more alkaline state versus being like my diet before was very acidic, like lots of coffee, I wouldn't say a lot of fried food, but like a lot of foods that like not too many greens, and lots of meat-based food, and a lot of stuff that was making my body quite acidic. And that conference was more about, like, one of the ones that we took from JJ Virgin was how we're going to start alkalizing ourselves, so it's like more greens obviously would be one, cutting out a lot of sugar would be two, cutting out like even like gluten as well. And I love gluten. Like I'm Asian. I love rice. Like I love lots of rice. I love pasta. I love pizza. I love all of that stuff. And I was like, okay, well, this is an experiment. Let's try and cut back on a lot of those things. So we cut back on like gluten. We cut back on like a lot of sugar. We cut back on and we cut back on meat, mostly greens. So it's just very a drastic change from what my previous diet was.
How about alcohol? Did you cut back on that too?
Fortunately for me, I don't drink alcohol.
Oh,
so
okay.
alcohol has never been a problem for me. Yeah, I don't smoke. I don't drink alcohol either. Then over time, not even over a long period of time, we're talking about a few weeks, of my weight just dropped so quickly. Because my diet shift was and my body responded to it very well. So I started to slim down more. I started to have more energy. My clarity was going up, and I started doing more intermittent fasting as well. And so all of those combined, going back into the question, was that I realized before, being unaware of what I was eating and how I was exercising, even though I was strong, I was losing out on a different part of life. Moving forward, I was able to become more fresh, more aware, more focused in my mental state, but also in my physical state. Even though I was not as strong, I'm a lot more mobile, a lot more flexible, and energetic in vitality that carries me through the day.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think you've brought up a very good example of just because you're fit doesn't mean you're healthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people like. I went through that stage as well when I was like eating junk before. I thought just as long as I started exercising and then get protein from meat, that's healthy. But then I realized it wasn't. It's actually a combination of like a lot of things to be healthy. Apart from what you eat, it's also taking care of your mind and body and all that as well. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Shall we move on to the next question?
Let's go.
Okay. What habits are you proudest of breaking then?
I'm really proud of breaking the habit of not living by default. So not living unconsciously. So essentially what I mean by that is I grew up eating these foods, like with my family, like that, it's okay to eat Macca's, it's okay to eat KFC, it's okay to have instant noodles. It's okay to like have a lot of meat.
Typical Asian family, right?
Energy. You need to have breakfast. You have to have breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. All those rules and regulations and like beliefs that were passed on to me, and that was a habit. That's my habit, right? That I grew up with, and I'm really proud to have broken that, because now I live a lot more consciously and a lot more aware. I'm more conscious and aware of how certain foods make me feel. I choose when I like to eat, and not just when my stomach feels a bit hungry. I don't, I consciously choose to fast at different times of the day or different times of the week. And I choose to eat foods that make me feel better, rather than just eat something because I simply have the urge to. Not to say that I don't have cheat days where I like to eat whatever I want, but it's a lot more. It's not like on an everyday basis, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you tell me a bit more about the food and this fasting thing you're doing? Like, what are you doing that, and how does it make you feel?
Food-wise, essentially, it's more vegetarian-based. I wouldn't say vegan, but it's just more vegetarian-based. Protein-wise, sometimes here and there, I would have some fish. And in terms of fasting wise, it would be, I used to fast in the morning. So basically I used to not have my lunch until like 1 or 2, which is my breakfast, but not my first meal. I'll just say my first meal. I wouldn't have my first meal till 1 or 2 p.m. And then I have my second meal later at night, 6, 7 o'clock. But what was starting to happen, because because of my work at night, I was starting to have dinner a lot later, around 8 or 9 p.m. And then I thought, okay, I felt that it was starting to distract my sleep, because I was eating quite late at night. I was waking up feeling a bit more lethargic than I normally do. And so I switched the other way around. And so I have, my brunch at around 9, 10. So, and then I would have my lana, which is my lunch dinner.
Lana.
At around 4 to 5 latest.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would carry me through. So before it was 2 meals a day. This now is also 2 meals a day, but just at different times. Okay.
And how does that make your body feel?
So if we talk about the other way around, so the first intermittent fasting where I didn't eat in the morning, it's like, I don't have to make a decision what I need to eat in the morning. I don't have to get ready. I can just go straight into my morning routine. I can go straight into my work. I can focus. At the beginning, it's always a bit more difficult because you're kind of hungry. You kind of get used to that feeling. But then afterwards, you're like, wait, I don't need to eat. I'm okay. I still have energy. My mind is clear. I'm not distracted. I can just focus. So that's how it makes me feel. But now I'm doing the other way. So I'm having like a bit of breakfast to get me through. And then my last meal is at around 4 or 5. And I feel hungry at night because my last meal was so early. But I go to sleep hungry because my body, I feel more energetic when I wake up. I feel like I can live off less sleep because I feel that my body isn't spending all its time digesting food throughout the night.
Yeah.
So,
I feel that too.
Yeah.
And I do the 1 day detox where I just drink juice. I always end up not needing as much sleep that night. And I'll wake up the next day like full of energy.
Yeah.
Even though I've only drank juice the whole day.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
No worries.
Let's move on to the next question.
Let's go.
Okay, this is a fun one. If you could be any plant, what would it be?
Oh, if I could be any plant. Wow. Interesting one.
Yeah, I can share with you what I want to be. For me, it's coconut tree.
Coconut tree?
Because you know where coconut trees are grown, right? It's always on a tropical island near the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I'm on the beach with the sunshine, the ocean, and I love coconut. So that's the plant I chose.
Ah, that's a good one.
Mm.
That's a good one. I haven't really thought about that one. This is the first one. Coconut one's actually a really good idea.
You like it? You like it?
Actually,
you can take it if you want to.
I actually really love coconuts. That's why.
Yeah.
I just love everything about it. I love the flesh of it. I love drinking it. I love it in cooking. I love it in everything. So, yeah, that's a really good one. Coconut.
Coconut.
Good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal your one today. Thank you.
That's fine. I'm happy to share. Next one.
The Wheel of Fortune begins.
Yeah. Pick a hard one. Oh, it's been really nice to you. What kind of things make you laugh?
What kind of things make me laugh? Obviously comedy shows, like rom-coms and all that stuff on TV shows make me laugh. What else makes me laugh? I'm ticklish, and that makes me laugh. So
in what area?
Very, very easy person to tickle, like just the typical ribs and feet and stuff like that. Yeah, I would jump quite easily. So, and I think that's hilarious for people to watch as well.
I'll keep that in mind.
Social distancing.
Use a stick. Oh, okay. Next question. Okay, I wanted to pick a hard one. Otherwise, I'm going to ask you something. Ask the same one again. Hang on. Okay. What would you tell the 90-year-old... Oh, what would the 90-year-old version of you tell you to eat?
The 90-year-old version of me tell me to eat. I would probably say go complete plant-based.
Why?
I think there's, you know, as you're probably more of an expert on me doing your health formers podcast. But I think, the plant-based food, there are so many benefits to that, along with alkalizing, along with feeling lighter in the body, digestion as well within the body. And there's no, like the emotional tie with it in terms of like when you eat meats, like there's on an energetic level, there's like emotional ties with when the animal was being like hurt or killed and stuff like that. I just feel like there's so many more benefits to eating just plant-based meals. I guess the thing for me is that I don't feel like I could eat it all the time. Not that I probably couldn't, but I don't think it's the convenience factor for me, I guess. I feel like to go on a full plant-based diet would require a lot more preparation, but also the taste. I really enjoy like my favorite meals from time to time. And so, yeah, I guess the 90-year-old self would go, well, if you did eat more plant-based, you would probably live a bit longer.
Well, I mean, you don't have to go all 100%. Like around how much are you on now? Like 70%, 80%, 90%?
Yeah, like I'm doing pretty well. And obviously it's not 100%, but I think the 100% would probably be a better option eventually.
It's just, taking it at a pace you're comfortable with. Yeah. What I'm encouraging on this is just as long as you're being healthy conscious and you're making progress one bite at a time, that's what matters. And our body needs to zigzag. Like you're really good. And sometimes you do have your cravings. You need to address it because we're all human. And it's okay to do that. I do it too. So
yeah, unless you zag all the time.
Yeah, unless you're doing that all the time, then that's a problem. But for me is when I zag, I use that to reprogram my memory and go, do I still like the food now? I listen to my body. And I recently just finished my phase 2, where I went another 100% for a whole month. And that was the second time I did it. And then like the second day I finished it, I was like, I'm going to zag on my favorite meal. And it's like Japanese grilled fish and karaage chicken. And then, so that used to be my favorite from this like restaurant I always order from. And then this time round, oh my God, my taste buds has gone so sensitive. I almost threw up eating it. So when I had the bite of the chicken, it tasted like poo. And I was just like, oh my God, like what was it I used to like before about this thing? And I had trouble. I couldn't finish it in the end. But then I realized what I was longing for, craving for, was just the seasoning around the chicken. It wasn't the actual meat. It was the seasoning they used to marinate it. So I was like, okay, next time I know it's the seasoning. And then the grilled fish I also couldn't finish it. It just tasted really, really dry. And I just wasn't liking it anymore. And then, so that was that. And then the next day I had like pizza. But by the next day, because I also love pizza, but by the next day when I was ordering pizza online, my old favorite pizzas used to be Meat Lovers with double cheese. That used to like my go-to pizza every single time. But then when I was going through like ordering it, I was like, I didn't feel like meat, because when I was going through, should I want the meat one? My stomach was having like, it started to tense up and it just didn't feel comfortable. So I ended up ordering vegetarian pizza, but it still came with the mozzarella cheese. And that used to be my favorite as well, like all the time. But when I ate it this time around, I was really shocked because I have cheese cravings, like especially melted cheese. When I ate it, it tasted like cow's fart. Like, if it, like, I don't know what cow's fart tastes like, but it was that. That was the closest I could use to describe it.
Wow. So it tastes like it's a 180.
Totally. And I'm not even trying not to eat it. And I was actually, like, I didn't like it to the point that I got really disappointed, and I was sad that I don't enjoy it anymore. Because I wanted to enjoy it. Because it was what I used to love. And I couldn't finish the pizza. I ended up, like, I used to be always picking off all the cheese on the pizza. That's how I would finish it. But this time around, I picked out all the vegetables. And I left the cheese there.
Wow. There you go.
And then I was like, what the hell is happening to me? Transformation. Like the taste buds just naturally changed because I went through that whole month detox. And now I'm not on any diet, but I'm not really eating any veggies. I'm not eating any meat.
Right. Straight to accountable diet.
I'm not eating any meat. I just naturally don't want to. But I'll see. Like the test for me is when I go back to Taiwan and visit my family. Like what will happen? They'll be feeding me all the, all the food I like. Yeah.